So you want to spend $15,000 a day, the big $450,000 in a month. You best believe there's a lot of best practices for that. And we're going to go through them here today in this video. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to have you here. If you're new, every video I make is about helping you hit $1 million months. My whole channel is dedicated to that. I'd encourage you to go check out some of my videos. There's a lot of value that you will get from them. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, like the video either way, and drop me a comment on something that you get out of it at the end of this whole thing. All right, so let's dive in. $15,000 a day, okay? First of all, 450 big ones, okay, in the month. This is a respectable amount of money. High paid surgeon, a Wall Street banker pre-bonus, okay? You're dropping Wall Street bankers and high paid surgeon salaries in a month. There's a lot of things you got to do and a lot of things you got to avoid. I want to start by saying there's a really foundational piece of advice that I'd encourage everybody follow who even gets to like 10K a day and spend 300K a month, okay? You probably start feeling it around 200K a month, but to be fair, it applies either way and it amplifies as you continue to spend more. And it's valuing inner peace, okay? Cheesy as that might sound, there's this thing called the Fox tag, okay? Now the Fox tag is applied to a Facebook ad account. They call it different names on TikTok, they call it different names on Google, okay? But a Fox tag on Facebook and on Instagram is an internal tag that an ad account can have labeled and applied to it that disables the AI from taking down the account, from disabling it, and from disabling any ads, okay? So all ads get approved, and again, if they don't get approved, they don't get disapproved, they just get flicked into a draft, okay? But it's very rare, to be clear, that that even happens. Most of the time, they just get approved, and then you have a disabling of the AI's ability to take down your account. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, if I've ever heard it, is inner fucking peace, okay? Especially when you're spending that amount of money. How do you get that tag? Well, there's a few different ways, okay? The best one, the most reliable, is to consistently spend a lot of money as one single business. When you get to $1 million a month in spend for 6 months, you go from a regular rep, one of those turds that hits you up every quarter. To be fair to this group of people, they, few and far between, are good. Nine out of 10 of y'all, if you're listening to this, you're not that great at what you do, okay? However, 1 out of 10 of y'all, you got your shit together and you are actually helpful. You do give a fuck about the people you're assigned, even though you're working with 90 to 120 people a quarter. We love and salute the 1 out of 10 of y'all that are actually great at what you do. But again, when you spend $1 million a month over 6 months in a row or within a calendar year, you get what's called an industry ad expert. Now this is where the money's at in Facebook. Above that, just to be clear, these are the global partners. Global partners are the people who are assigned to large corporations, Amex, Pepsi, Coke, etc. The industry ad expert, you actually stand a chance to get. They, my friend, are very, very helpful. They work with 10 people within a month. They usually get assigned to you for as long as you continue spending a lot of money. So they could be your rep forever. There's 2 ways to get them. Either as an agency, you collectively spend $1 million a month for 6 months in a row, or as a business, you spend $1 million a month for 6 months in a row. There's also, I think, 1 or 2 other ways to get this level of rep, but it's harder than spending $1 million a month in 6 months. Okay, I digress. What's the probability that when you're talking about and watching a video on spending 15K a day, 450K a month, that you're spending $1 million a month on ads? Very slim to none. What's the probability that an advertiser that you work with at a marketing agency spends $1 million a month collectively between all the clients in their agency account or as an agency that they're assigned to, so therefore they have that rep? The probability is greater that it's with a marketing agency. So our rep, our industry ad expert, any account we take on, they're generally assigned, to be fair, to either an agency or a singular business within that agency, okay? So it can be either or. We thankfully have a rep, very high level rep, awesome guy. Can't say his name. I'm under pretty strict NDA, believe it or not, with Facebook for a lot of the things that I can talk about that me and my industry ad expert get the opportunity to do. But I triple checked, and the words Fox tag are a common thing that you can research on the internet, so therefore it doesn't void any NDAs that I have with good old Facebook, okay? Now to be clear, why would these industry ad experts, or maybe if you get one of the lucky 1 out of 10 marketing pros, which is, again, gambling, okay? Very low probability that the regular reps you get assigned to you are gonna be capable of doing this. Again, I digress. Inner peace, okay? Your industry ad expert, they have a high probability to turn this on for your account because they don't want your account having trouble either. Like, as an internal incentive, they encourage and want you to spend more money. I'm sure, I don't know, but I'm sure that they have some kind of incentive to get paid more money when you spend more money after they're already assigned to you. I highly doubt it's just for the benefit of, here's some extra help. Here's a phone a friend when you need it that Facebook just dishes out in salaries to a business, okay? Doubt it. Most probable that they have some kind of incentive, or that's their function, to encourage you to spend more money and get more money out of you as a business after they're assigned to you. And the Fox tag, I mean, dude, that Fox tag's one of the easiest, safest, most predictable ways for them to be able to do that. Give me the ability to spend 15K a day and don't let an ad get disapproved randomly. I'm on my knees. Okay, point I'm trying to make. When you get to 15K a day, inner peace is like such a priority, you know? It has to happen. And this really comes outside of having the Fox tag with risk mitigation strategies, okay? When you look at mitigating any kind of risk, this at this level is critical. These strategies would include, just to name a few within the account itself, okay? Typically multiple versions of the same funnel. What am I doing here? Multiple versions of the same funnel with different domains, okay? This is important because randomly, I've seen this twice just this year alone, randomly a domain can be blocked by the pixel. Fox tag has nothing to do with that, okay? It can't disable other functions. It's only two things that it disables are the AI's ability to disapprove and disable your account and disapprove ads. It's all it functionally does. Things that can still occur are your domain being blocked by the pixel, okay? So that just means all the standard events that you've historically sent to the pixel, they'll still be usable, thankfully, but the domain from the point they block it forward won't have any ability to send the data back to the pixel. It's like they put a wall in between the domain that does have the pixel on it and the pixel receiving data itself. It just blocks everything. Now, when that occurs, that can be a problem that can cause, let's call it a 72-hour delay between you relaunching your campaign, those ads getting approved with the new domain, and the ads getting enough data from the new domain with the same historical standard events you've been optimizing for to start efficiently converting and maybe even get better results. If that 72-hour, if you just look at the 72 hours and that's all it takes, which is very ambitious, okay? Conservatively, it's probably gonna take longer. Well, when you're at 15K a day, dude, that's $45,000 in shit spend. But you have to spend through it anyway because, again, over the course of a month, getting off that extra $45,000, that makes a significant difference even if all the stats inflate for those 72 hours. Okay, so you still have to get the spend off. This problem can be lengthened to all the way up to like a week, 2 weeks, depending on if your advertiser, marketing team, people responsible for the funnels and the pixels can efficiently, in real time, as soon as it happens, reactively get a new domain up with the same funnels they've historically run traffic to. Much better, much better. Inner peace, that's what we're after at first. That's the foundation of the whole thing. When you spend 15K a day, gotta feel safe. You don't gotta feel secure, gotta feel good. You know what I mean? Anyway, another version of the exact same funnel, just on a different domain, just waiting there, just idle. You're doing nothing with it, you just let it sit there. If and when, God forbid, that specific thing happens, it's like what you do in real life. You know, you got insurance, you got life insurance, you got car insurance, you got health insurance, unless you're European or somebody else. You know, here in America, it's like, that's what we gotta do. We got insurance for damn near everything, okay? Business insurance, all kinds of stuff. That risk mitigation strategy, that's insurance. What other forms of insurance can we have? Okay, here's another good one. Multiple pixels, okay? We don't want one single pixel. Same thing. God forbid we wake up, hey, your pixel broke Meta's rules for data compliance policy. We're shutting your fucking pixel off. We're not collecting any more data from it. Oh, man, that would hurt. I'd cry. I'd cry for a client that doesn't have that, that's spending 15K a day. Holy shit, that would suck. All of that historical data on who's qualified, who's unqualified, that you've spent God knows how much money. It's probably a guess if you tried to say, here's how much we spent to condition that pixel and make it good. A lot of time as well factored in. And when you go from 450K a day on a seasoned, optimized pixel with good quality data on it to a brand new fucking pixel with no data on it, and you're cranking 15K a day towards that new pixel, good luck. Your statistics are they're gonna be so fucked. They're gonna be toast, okay? They're gonna be so bad. Because again, new pixel, no historical conversion data. It's gotta do the whole process that the seasoned pixel has had for a long duration of time again, okay? You have to spend just as much money and just as much time to make it just as good. So why not today? Literally today, like right now, okay? Pause the video, text your guy, okay? Or if you're the marketer listening to this, go into the events manager, get a new fucking pixel created, okay? Now there's a few ways to do this. When you look at it like, okay, multiple pixels, easy enough, right? Don't do it in the same ad account, dipshit, okay? Not a good idea. You have a business manager, okay? And the business manager is like a giant folder. It's like your downloads folder on your computer. It holds a bunch of other shit inside of it. Like the business manager can hold other folders. It contains all kinds of stuff, pages, ad accounts, and it also includes these things like data sets, okay? And data sets are also nowadays pixels, okay? This, in the same business manager, if you create a new pixel within that same business manager and that business manager goes down and you can't get it back on, you're fucked, okay? What you need to do from a risk mitigation perspective, okay? You need to have multiple of these, ideally 3, okay? This is what makes you feel real good. Remember, inner peace, okay? That's what we're after. That's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to feel good about what's going on at $450,000 a month in spend, okay? So again, 3 business managers, extremely ideal. And to be clear, what that would mean is we can have 3 pixels, 1 per business manager. We have the main business manager with the main account, okay? And guess what? We're trying to pump out some good spend from there, but at the same time, again, risk mitigation, inner peace, I wanna make sure my other 2 business managers also have some spend going out of it from those ad accounts. So if and when I get shut down, I don't have to go to a new account and a new business manager that has no historical spend and get limited to some bullshit like $50 a day or $250 a day or $500 a day, which are common starter limits, okay? So I want 1 pixel from each one of these accounts, okay? And I want that same 3 sets of pixels on the funnel that I'm running traffic to. I want all the pixels on every website. I don't want 1 pixel here and I want all pixels everywhere you'd normally place a pixel, okay? Everywhere, all at once. Same thing goes for pages. Don't have a single page. Have a backup page, okay? Facebook, Instagram, have a backup page. Again, your page goes down. Sure, you might have a guy you can pay off to get it turned back on. How long do those guys usually take? You've actually worked with one of those guys and they've done it same day when you need it and you're trying to get off $15,000 a day in spend. That fucking sucks to rely on those guys instead of just having another page you can immediately rotate over to in the meantime. That's the point of the risk mitigation, which leads to inner peace, okay? We are attempting to stay online. We're trying to keep the ads pumping out $15K a day. That is an exacerbated amount of money. It's not a small amount of money where you don't notice the impacts of it from going down for one day. It's like, no, dude, each day that those ads are down at that level of spend, it sucks. It is a huge issue. You can see noticeably a massive difference in revenue as a result of that singular day going down. You've got to keep everything online. And you do that, again, by just seeking what would give me inner peace this entire time. What could fuck me, you know? How could I stay online the entire time if I needed to? Again, I'm gonna close it out with this before I continue to my next segment here in today's video. I wanna close it out with credit cards, payment processors, bank accounts, okay? Especially the credit card part. If you are spending $450K in a month, okay, $15K a day, there's a few things you could do. Obviously, you can milk the living shit out of a points credit card. I've had clients who spend so much at this level or even above this level, where literally the people who provide them the points like Chase or Amex in almost all instances, they cut them off on points from how many points they accumulate doing this shit. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know you could get cut off, but apparently you can. My point being, okay, a good points credit card, cards, plural, okay, goes an exceptionally long way in bringing you inner peace. Okay, you need multiple just in case. Now, there's always a backup I want to make people aware of as well, which you want to make sure you're qualified are, which you likely are at $450K in ad spend and a lot of successful payment history with Facebook. It's called Facebook invoicing, which gives you the ability to pay that month's ad spend in a net 30. So as an example, if you're tired of having to front cash on your credit cards, okay, potentially run into limits, and then obviously you have whatever the billing cycles are for when that payment becomes due, okay? If you're tired of that game, you don't really give a fuck about the points, then what you'd want to do is switch to Facebook invoicing. They'll let you run up $450K in 30 days, and you don't even have to pay it until the end of the next 30 days. But you want to make sure you pay it on time, otherwise you'll never be able to do that again with them. It's so good for businesses that have high ticket products and services and rather long sales cycles, okay? Great strategy, great approach. Would really encourage doing it if, to be clear, you don't give a fuck about the points. If you do give a fuck about the points, don't do that. Use the points card. All right, now, outside of risk mitigation strategies and making yourself feel real good, bringing yourself some inner peace, there's really 2 ways that you're spending the $15K a day, okay? Now, this is where you have kind of a split path for those of you listening that you tread down. Okay? Way number 1 is not gonna necessarily bring you inner peace. You almost get trapped to be doing number 1, okay? And that is having everything in one main campaign. Now, I am all for to be clear. Having singular campaigns that I can scale the living shit out of, okay? I'm all for that. But at 15K a day, there's some risks to that. I've got to ensure that out of the 15K a day I'm spending, that I do a good job at diversifying that spend, okay? I don't want it to all be in one campaign. There's too much risk in that. Even if I have the Fox tag and my ads aren't gonna get randomly disapproved, if they fatigue, which they're very probable to at 15K a day on a tight timeline, and I've gotta refresh the creatives and the next batch that I swap it with shits the bed or something, that's not gonna be fun. Again, I've gotta mitigate risk. I've gotta bring myself inner peace when I'm at 15K a day and beyond, okay? The one main campaign is sketch. That generally means you started at a smaller level and incrementally through time, you did like a 10 to 30% rule, you got it up to the big level of spending the 15K a day, okay? Now that's sketch. You're not putting any other spend towards the other business managers that you should have and those ad accounts within those other business managers. You're not testing new creatives unless you're running some kind of dynamic campaigns where you just throw a bunch of shit in there, which is great. Good best practice, by the way. But at that level, it's very scary. The diversified approach is very safe, okay? Diversification is healthy when you are talking 15K a day. This might look like, as an example, maybe you have like 5 to 10 campaigns, okay? And they're spread out. You put them in maybe like, again, the 3 ad accounts. Maybe you put like few components here, few components there, just to keep the ad accounts warm and spending. As an example, ad account 1 might be our main ad account. Ad account 2 might be our content ad account where we have our hammer them strategies running from. Ad account 3 might be our ad account where we have some new testing being done, or just we're keeping that account fresh. So we're putting like 500 a day or 1,000 a day towards that. Or maybe we call account number 3 like our webinar account. Account number 1's our call funnel account. Account number 2 is still our content account where we're running the hammer them strategies or the tornado or whatever other content ad strategy that you want to be running, okay? My point being, this is safe because how it works, I call these foundational campaigns. Every campaign typically has an upper limit where as you're spending, if this represents results, there ends up being like a hard ceiling that you eventually run into. And that ceiling is tough to get past. Generally, whenever you try to spend through it, you just kind of spin the wheels on your campaign. They don't really get any additional result volume. You just kind of get an inflated cost per result above a certain level of spend. And every campaign has a different ceiling, okay? It's not necessarily static. It could be audience, ad hook, or funnel strategy specific, even messaging specific, okay? My point being though, every campaign typically has a ceiling. The goal when you're at that 15K a day in spend is to find as many foundation campaigns that you can, scale them to their ceilings, and then just deal with the ad fatigue that comes later on by refreshing those campaigns, coming out with new hooks for them, or the same hooks, just in new, fresh creative. My point being, foundation campaigns, this is critical. This brings a lot of inner peace. This brings stability to the accounts. Foundation campaigns, okay? When you have foundations and you look at it, what the definition means, this is what you build on, okay? It's like once you get a foundation campaign, you spend more money in other areas, like testing and like new strategies for funnel strategies or hooks, you know? Here's my point. The foundation campaigns are typically a good majority of your spend when you're at 15K a day, okay? These are your winners. These are the things that you simply know work. They're consistent, they produce results, they bring in good quality people, you know, they do what you want. Now, the other half of your budget, okay? And again, this line right here, this is very arbitrary. This could go all the way up to here, or even here as an example for how successful and depending on the ceilings of these foundation campaigns. Now, I just want to be clear in saying, ideally when you first start, you can get like a good 50-50 ratio where, yeah, like you're getting great results. You got a great ROI. Hell, that's why you spend 15K a day, you know, 450K in a month. The other half is typically testing and content, okay? Content's not nearly half the budget. Content might be like a razor thin part of the budget. Doesn't take a lot. But again, testing is a good chunk of the other half. When you test, remember the goal in testing and trying to find campaigns here is, okay, do they sputter out and just not work? Do they eventually work? And again, they ideally hit a ceiling that inevitably comes. If so, great. That's exactly what you want. You want to find new campaigns that I can throw into my bin over here. And then again, I'm testing through time. I got a few flops that occur. I cut the flops, you know, and again, all I'm doing, I'm just taking my new foundation campaigns that I find from testing, throwing them in the foundation bucket. Okay, that's my sole goal that I'm attempting to accomplish every single time that I launch a test campaign. Trying to add campaigns that hit a ceiling and just consistently produce and then add them to the foundation bucket. It's the whole point of them. okay? Now, what ends up happening as a result of that through time is you push the ceiling up on the foundations and the winners, and what happens is you end up having a smaller test budget usually, because so much of your budget is going towards the winners, which is great. That's what you want. There's a good ideal scenario here where you're just printing cash and your ROAS goes up, efficiently producing more and more result with the same amount of spend, just by recycling through tests, trying to find winners, building the foundation campaign to a greater level. There's kind of a contrary piece of advice, because I'm all about scaling, but I just want to be very clear in saying when you're spending $450K a month, there's a dramatically high probability you're doing $1 million a month. Okay, you should be well beyond that, to be clear, depending on your ROAS. But to be fair, $450K a month, very, very good probability you're hitting $1 million months. Okay, obviously not guaranteed. It's not what I'm implying, but my point being, very high probability. Okay, I want to be clear in saying you don't necessarily. This is the contrary piece of advice. You don't necessarily have to keep smashing the gas when you're at $450K a month. There does become a point where it's actually valuable to kind of pause scaling and almost take a break and look at what potentially could be improved upon, and also give operations a moment to breathe and catch up. A lot of reactivity is created when you're scaling at 15K a day. That's what I've noticed anyway. There's a fuckload of operational stuff that has to occur, because everything speeds up and all the problems enhance and multiply. So new hires usually have to come in, and everybody here knows this is a multi-week process to fucking recruit, train, get them actually staffed in their position confidently. It's very rare when somebody can come in and just immediately have the impact you're looking for, although it can happen. I digress. It's good sometimes take a breather, a defined breather, maybe 15 days is an example, where you do what we call an optimization blitz, okay? That's generally what creates this, where you can push the foundation ceiling up. And this optimization blitz, really healthy to be fair. I personally love it. It's not always something I'm able to do, because to be fair, it's not my business in most instances, it's the client's business. And if they tell me to keep punching the fucking gas, regardless of me saying, hey, I think it makes sense to do a 15-day breather where we kind of stop scaling, just look at everything, every single statistic possible, do a super deep analysis, like a literal audit of all bottlenecks, and just take a moment to reconsider what hooks could be run and tested, and if there's new funnel strategies that you might want to do, or just something big that you can think of just by taking a moment to breathe, or again, just letting operations catch up while on the marketing and sales front there's some kind of change or tweak that occurs that enhances the statistics with the same exact money spent. That's what pushes the foundation ceiling up. Then from there you just resume scaling. Either way, if you resume scaling the entire time or not, and you take these little breaks or not, you obviously want to have moments where you still look to find more efficiency. I am all for staying in scaling mode. I just want to make that extremely clear. But again, if I can find ways to become more efficient as I spend more money, it's necessary, because small problems expose really wide amounts of revenue as those problems amplify through time, right? Even if it's, as an example, at $5,000 a month in spend, something super low that you would never even notice is technically losing you money. You're doing great at $5,000 in spend. Dude, at $450K a month in spend, at 15K a day, that same problem that you literally didn't even see, it didn't even exist to you, is now something that's losing the business $200,000 in the month from being 5% off from what it could be as one of your conversion steps. Or dude, that click-through rate historically being sub 1%, you getting that shit to 2% would cut every cost in half, double the quantity of traffic, and literally cut your cost of acquiring customers in half, doubling your ROAS as a result. And dude, if you're spending $450,000 in the fucking month, let's say you're flipping a 2-to-1 ROAS, you're flipping 900K gross. Okay? Well, dog, guess what? If you got your click-through rate from 1% to 2%, you would literally double that 900K to $1.8 million off of the same 450K being spent. That's a good incentive. You get what I'm saying? It's at $5,000 in total ad spend for the month when you're a total fucking noob guppy. You're not risking anything. It's those things don't matter a lot because they're not exacerbating the problem. You know what I mean? Yes, don't get me wrong, the same math applies, but it's a $10,000 difference in that example. Versus here, it's a fucking $900,000 gap. You see what I'm saying? Point being, the operational blitzes, 15-day predefined windows, I'm a huge fan of. Okay, to reiterate, all I'm looking for is inner peace. Okay, it's my number one thing I'm looking for. There's plenty of ways to be able to do that. By the way, just want to be extremely clear, whether you're a client of ours or not, having an industry ad expert, we have the ability to even benefit people that we can vouch for and that we can intro to our industry ad expert who can, in some instances, give you the opportunity to get a Fox tag on the account. I'm obviously never gonna fucking do that for you on YouTube. I don't know who the hell you are. I don't know any information about you unless you're one of my clients, unless you're one of my students, or unless you're one of my inner circle members. I only vouch regularly for those 3 demographics. And I make sure, and it's very important you understand, I'm not full of shit here. Every time I put my name on the line and say, hey, I vouch for this person, if you don't pay them, I have to fucking pay them, okay? If you, in the instance that I vouch for you and you end up doing some stupid shit, guess what? I get in trouble and lose my plug or anger the person who does a tremendous amount of things that bring me inner peace. You see? So I only do it, I mean this, legitimately, for the people that I can actually trust that aren't idiots, okay? So to be clear, this would be a good opportunity to tell you, check the description. I got my inner circle program, okay? More than 100 people in that group now that all are rich people trying to get a hell of a lot richer. We had a guy join in recently, shout out to you if you're watching this. He says, hey, I'm already getting buyouts, okay, for $50 million. All these companies are offering me $50 million cash, some of them stock in cash to buy out his company. He says, I haven't got paid, I haven't acquired paid customers yet. I haven't done any paid at all, okay? If I can add paid customer acquisition through advertising to what I do now, I think I can get another $50 million in exit potential. Those are the people we have joining the inner circle. We had a guy just this week, 400 to 600K a month join into the inner circle. We have people regularly doing high several $100,000 a month. We have the big dogs in there too doing $1 million plus a month. We have minimums for what it takes to qualify. There's an application process. And by the way, we denied 2 people this week. Okay, we had some weirdos come through the funnel. One of the girls in the inner circle said that Mercury was in retrograde. So that lined perfectly to the weirdo day. But again, regularly, we deny the wrong people. We regularly accept the right people. Rich people trying to get a hell of a lot richer. Check the description. Would love to have you in there. And at the least, get into my Master Internet Marketing program. 7 weeks, highly in-depth information on mastering internet marketing. It's fucking awesome. Both links are in the description if you want to check them out. Also, I came out with a blog, jeremyhaynes.com. I take all my videos like this and I put them in writing. So you might also find a blog link down in the description for this very video. Okay, let's reiterate a few things. If you can get a Fox tag, get the Fox tag, okay? If you can spend $1 million a month for 6 months in a row and or work with an agency who does that to get an industry ad expert, you want to do that. It is next fucking level the things they do. Outside of the Fox tag, they also put you on super high level game. The things I've learned from my industry ad expert are actually beneficial. The things I've gotten access to, again, I can't talk about them because of NDAs, and I'm not just trying to like hide information. I actually would love to talk about it. They're fucking sweet, the things I've gotten as a result of the industry ad expert, but I can't. I digress. Dude, I've gotten access to alpha features, beta features that like your ad account might not see for months or years, or if ever. And they are fucking awesome. Like some of the things I've gotten access to, again, would love to sit here and yap about, but I can't. Hands are tied. Either way, it is so worth having an industry ad expert. It's so fun. It's so cool. You can go to any Facebook headquarters that you want. They'll fly that person to you. You'll do in-person meetings. You'll do virtual meetings. It's fucking sweet, okay? Anyway, you want to mitigate risk, okay? You want to make sure that you follow everything I laid out in this video from a perspective of risk mitigation alone. Again, 2 ways to scale: the super sketchy, no inner peace at all way that like you get locked into because you have one campaign just fucking ripping that you're pressing the gas on, which is still smart to do, by the way, it's just riskier, is the one main campaign way, okay? Scary, not as good. Diversified way is like you got a few foundation campaigns. You're constantly testing to try to find new foundation campaigns, new winners. And through time, you're occasionally peppering in optimization blitzes to be able to more efficiently spend the money that you've already been spending, okay? Now you'll notice I mentioned when I talked about optimization blitzes, this concept referred to as a bottleneck. And a bottleneck is as described. When somebody has an advertising or marketing funnel, there's these potential contractions that occur, okay? And sometimes they occur at multiple points within your process. And this includes your marketing and your sales parts of the process. Sometimes everything flows really well at the beginning, okay? You got no issues in your click-through rate, you got no issue in your opt-ins. But then as you get towards the very end of your process, there becomes this huge wall, this huge choke point, this big time contraction. And when you look at this contraction and you just break down statistically how much money it loses you at smaller levels of spend a day, doesn't really matter that much. Also, the further it is down the process, the less it compounds into every other statistic that follows, so therefore the less money it can make if you open it up, but it's still worth opening it up. Here at the very beginning, when I have bottlenecks at the start of my process. This would be, as an example, like your click-through rates. This could also be things like your show rate, or if you're doing one of those terrible 2-call closes, your first call show rate as an example. To be clear, from here, it's like you just get a small trickle of people that make it out the other side as a result of having a bottleneck at the very beginning of your process, okay? So again, bottlenecks at the very beginning, and also obviously when you have them at the end, just significantly reduce the quantity of people that make it to the other side as a result. This might not matter a lot when you're in the middle of like getting to 15K a day, okay? Because you're still producing more money, you're still making more money. Like if the math's all playing out to just encourage you to continue spending, that's what you do. No issue with that. Do what you got to do. However, at scale, dude, optimization blitzes, oh man, they're so good. They bring you so much inner peace. They help so much. They increase the total amount you can make dramatically. Proper incentives for the teams that are responsible for these statistics in these departments start to matter a ton, okay? You have to make sure that the people in your operations actually give a fuck to improve these specific statistics that they're responsible for. So having an incentive off of ad spend based on ROAS, or as an example, net revenue, these things make a dramatic difference. And again, align what you want out of your teams who are managing these specific key roles and statistics within your company, okay? There's so much more that I could talk about, and I do regularly talk about inside of my Inner Circle program, or obviously to my clients and my students. I'd encourage that you check out the link in the description. Twice a week, what am I talking about? Twice a month, we do our one-on-one calls together. We have weekly group calls. We have quarterly in-person masterminds that are streamed remote if you can't make it in person, and obviously recorded. We have only done in the history of the Inner Circle one no-phone mastermind talk with a guy that was in the middle of going bankrupt that had previously made like tens of millions of dollars. Every other thing we record, to be clear, so you can see it again whether you were there or not. And we do a group chat on Telegram where we all communicate with each other in real time every day, ask questions, answer questions, and I'll share perspective on getting richer. That's my Inner Circle program. Link in the description. I'd encourage you to check it out. And hey, do me a favor, check out my new blog, jeremyhaynes.com. Subscribe to the channel if you're still not subscribed. I don't know why you wouldn't be. There's awesome content on this thing. Go check out some of my other videos if you're new here. Everything's dedicated to helping you hit $1 million months. Drop a like or a comment, and thank you for being here. Go out and get richer. Talk soon.